Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Deani, and if you're new here, this is my joint YouTube channel with my fiance, Tyshawn, hence Shawnee and D.
There's no limit to the things we can do. You say you down for me, prove that it's true. Are you about it, about it? 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 There's no limit to the things we can do. You say you down for me, prove that it's true. Are you about it, about it? Are you about it, about it?
So, as we've been promoting, we want to do a weekly YouTube video just to give you guys more content. We want all our videos to drop on Sunday because Sunday is typically our chill days where we like to just be home and relax. So, this video will actually be the start of a weekly vlog that we're going to do. So, I wanted to drop this video on Sunday just so that you guys still get a video, but from here until Saturday, I'll be doing kind of like a weekly vlog so that you guys can get this video next, or the vlog actually next Sunday. But today, we are going to be doing like 10 tips that you guys should have or keep in mind when you are finding vendors for your wedding. So when I say vendors, you may be asking what I'm talking about. Vendors are people that you hire to make your wedding come true. They kind of see you through all of the logistics of hosting and having a wedding to make your day memorable. Some of the vendors may be a wedding planner, a florist, what else? Photographer, videographer, an event designer, day of coordinator, hair stylist, makeup artist, a DJ, things like that. The venue, of course, things like that. These are all key elements of having a wedding, and all of them are really important. So I wanted to give you guys 10 tips, 10 things that I have been learning and kind of using to find my vendors, and also things that I try to keep in mind, or the mistakes that I made, I'll be sharing with you guys with that, just so that you guys can kind of have an understanding of how vendors work and go into the process knowing a lot about it. Because vendors can be hard, it can be overwhelming, but it's definitely something that is manageable and you can see through as long as you try to navigate those downfalls that I have. So yeah, here are my 10 tips. So tip number 1, do your research. I cannot express this enough. Wedding planners, DJs, florists, photographers, they all are people who work for you. However, when it comes to this process, as overwhelming and hectic as it may be, if you do not know the roles of these vendors, you will easily be overcharged or undercharged, or your expectations will not be reached because of the lack of knowledge. Do your research on what each and every vendor is for, because it helps you find an understanding of what exactly you are to expect or what exactly you are to obtain from each vendor. So definitely do your research on what each vendor is supposed to be doing, and then that way you can determine what you need to hire for, so that way everything can be kind of constructed in your contract and you have everything you need to have this vendor on your wedding planning team. Step number 2, outline your desires. This is when you finish your research process and you're like, okay, so a photographer for the wedding is a person who takes pictures and blah, 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 right? So outline what you want your photographer to do. Do you want one photographer for the entire wedding? Do you want a photographer for yourself, the bride, and the groom, another one for the groom? Do you want a team of photographers? Outline what you want so that it is clear and when you reach out to these different vendors, what it is that you're looking for. That makes everything so much easier. Step number 3, interview at least 3 different vendors. I say 3 because once you interview more than 3 people, it can get very overwhelming, and you need a little bit of options. Like, you need a definitely yes, a definitely no, and then kind of like a in between, like, okay, well, if this doesn't work out or if they're too pricey, I can go with them. 3 people I think is a perfect amount of numbers to interview and kind of get a better understanding of who kind of fits your, goal. And interviewing can be very easy. Like, for me, I use a lot of Instagram because I like to see your work. I don't want to just read your brochure, go to your website, see a few pictures. Like, I want to see tag photos from the venue sites or other prospective clients. I just want to see everything. So I use Instagram, like random hashtags, found people, and then I interview at least 3 for each vendor. So step number 4 is set guidelines. Now, this is the step that I made a lot of mistakes on. When you set guidelines, it's you setting expectations for your vendors. This is something that I wish I would have went back and kind of used this step in my interview process. Like, my biggest thing when hiring vendors was communication. Like, I wanted to know that you had my back. If I needed to call you, text you, whatever the case may be, I wanted to know that you were going to answer or you were going to at least respond to me within 24 hours. Because again, wedding planning can be really hectic. So my issue was I didn't really communicate my wants and needs in that instance. Everybody was so nice, but when it came to like trying to speak with vendors, plan things, the response times were terrible. I was hearing back from people a week later, multiple weeks later. None of my information was really being answered when they would respond. And it's hard working with people who you can't communicate with. So make sure you set guidelines of your expectations so that they know what to look for and so that you have kind of an idea of who you're working with. Like, if somebody would have said, you might hear from me within a week, at least I know that, I was expecting people to answer back to me right away, and it was just taking a long time, and I just felt like people was taking me as a joke or trying to be like I didn't matter or my concerns weren't that important to them, and I did not like that at all. Step number 5, make sure you have a contract. Like, a contract will be the legal binding agreement between you and a vendor. Now, I know when it comes to weddings, a lot of people like to use friends, families, etc. Understand that this is a wedding. It's not just a little party that you're throwing with multiple people, blah, blah, blah. It's a very important day. And the last thing you need is for family, friends to kind of like half-ass you when it comes to planning your wedding, because you need to make sure that everything is aligned. You don't want to not have that contract and then these vendors not show up, not do their job, not fulfill their needs of the agreement. So make sure you have a contract, because everybody's word is not bond. And understand that. Step 6 is to review the contract. Like, contracts can be long. Like, some contracts I got are like 7, 8, 10 pages. You need to make sure you review every single page, every single binding aspect of that contract, because push comes to shove, if you do something against the contract or they do something against the contract, everything needs to be communicated. Especially like things like, as I said before, your guidelines. That's something that you can add into the contract so that if anything is broken or anybody is not fulfilling the needs in that contract, there is something that can be done about it. Like, the contract is very binding, but make sure you read it and you actually know what these people are supposed to be doing, the rules and kind of guidelines of their vendor company because everybody is definitely different. So definitely make sure you are reading those guidelines and the contracts, because you do not want to be out here just looking crazy and then, or people taking advantage of you and things that are supposed to be in their contract is not done. Like, make sure you read that contract and make sure you agree with the contract before you sign it. Step 7 is to set up your personal payment plan. What I have seen from a lot of vendors is that they have a minimal down payment, and then closer to the wedding, they have different payment options like spread out. I say set up your personal payment options because you want to make sure the wedding is paid off before that day comes. You don't want to be last minute, have to think about taking out loans, blah, blah, blah. But if you do have to take out loans and stuff, there's nothing wrong with that. Me personally, I just wanted to pay off my wedding before that day. I don't want to have to worry about it because after the wedding, me and Tyshawn, we have goals. We want to start having kids. We want to build our house, a custom home at that. So we kind of have a lot of goals that we want to do. So I say set up personal payment plans because the vendor doesn't really care about how it's paid, just as long as it's paid. For an example, my wedding venue site, they required that I made a deposit, and then every year mark, so every year on September 24th, ahead of the wedding, we made, I want to say it was just like a $1,000 payment. Yeah, it was $1,000. And then at the 6-month mark, 6 months before the wedding, we had to pay 50% of the cost. And then it's like 10 days before the wedding, we have to pay the remaining balance in cash or check. So with that, I mean, we kind of booked our venue 2 years in advance. So we were able to like make payments within those 2 years versus waiting to the last minute and paying that 50% 6 months before and then 10 days. We didn't want to be last minute with our payment options. So set up a plan for yourself to just make sure that you fulfill everyone's contract. But also if you can get it paid off sooner, pay it off sooner. That was very important to me in time when we decided to have our wedding because 1, we're having it in New York and it's very expensive. But 2, we gave ourselves 2 years to plan and pay. So definitely make up your own payment plan so that you fulfill everyone's needs. Tip number 8 was any corrections in writing. So make sure any changes or amendments to your binding contract is always expressed in writing. Email, add it up in the contract and re-sign it. Just because a lot of word of mouth, like I said, could get misconstrued or misinterpreted, and then you expect one thing and you show up day of and it's another thing. So any changes or amendments to any contracts, please make sure that you get it in writing because that's the only way, legal way, that you can hold these vendors accountable. 9 is cancellations. I mean, it's very, very unfortunate when either you have to cancel on a vendor or if a vendor has to cancel on you. It could be very hectic. I personally am dealing with this now. Can't really talk about it at this moment, but I will probably eventually. But make sure if someone cancels on you or if you cancel on them, it is written in your agreement that, or your contract, that all fees are refunded 100%. Like, get that written down in your contract, because the last thing you want is to lose out on money because a vendor can't hold up their end of their deal. Or a vendor would hate to work with you and then you decide not to work with them. Pay them for their time. Like, it's common courtesy, but I mean, it's 2021, literally 2022, in like less than a month. And common sense ain't common. People really be out here trying to scam and work their way up to the top by hurting a lot of people and just not doing their job. So make sure anything cancellation wise is in your contract and it is fully understood that either they will be repaid for their work that they have done, or you will be refunded for your fees and the waste of your freaking time, any inconveniences that may come along. And step number 10 is to tip and thank all vendors. Don't get me wrong, each vendor is definitely doing a service for you. You are paying them and all of that good stuff, but these are still human beings. Wedding planning is very toxic at times because it's just stressful. You get very overwhelmed. It's your big day. Everything may seem like it's not perfect enough or not good enough, or just sometimes you can just get really stressed out. But understand that your vendors literally work with you from point A to point B. Thank them. Show them that you actually appreciate them being there, you working for them, etc. Because they are your vendors. Like, these are like people who are making your dream come true. Thank them. Make sure you pay them their tips, their services, because it's a lot planning a wedding. Like, even like my photographer during our engagement photo shoot, videos and stuff coming soon, just how anxious and nervous Tyshawn was, and the fact that they were so patient with him and kept working with him, because literally like 10 minutes in, I was ready to knock him out. Like, I was like, babe, you are literally doing the most. Relax, listen to what they're saying, follow directions, stand still, stop moving, stop talking, like, and they were so patient with them. So I can only imagine how it is for vendors with other like brides and grooms. Like, I know it gets very hectic, but make sure you thank them, make sure you pay them their tips and their fees and their everything that they deserve, okay? Because they're giving you everything that you deserve. And the only way that this works is that you guys work together and agree on everything, or at least to get it done, you know? So yes, thank your vendors, tip them vendors because they deserve it. Alrighty guys, so this is my 10 tips about wedding vendors. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Again, this is a video that will be posted today, which is Sunday, December 12th. But this will also be the start of a vlog week. So yes, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Tell me how you feel. If you think I should have added another step or take a step away, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. But also turn on your notification bell so that you guys can be updated as soon as we post any videos. Because you guys definitely don't want to miss out on the content coming. So yes, I will see you guys soon. Thank you for watching.